Good afternoon and welcome to RedHawks Weekly. I'm Adam Shalfoon. I'm joined by the newest member of the sports department here, Eric Moon. Eric, so happy to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Adam. Came here from, well, I'm a Northern Virginia native originally, but I went to college at Syracuse. Spent the last 3 years in Idaho Falls as the sports director at a station there. So great to be here in Fargo throughout the first week. The people here have been great, and I can't wait to get to know all of you.
Awesome. Well, welcome to town on behalf of all of us and the people watching at home. I know you gave a little sneak preview. Any other fun facts? Any Eric Moon fun facts?
Yeah, so I'm a big hockey person, actually. So that's the big sport for me. Love a lot of sports, but hockey's the big one for me. So go Fargo Force.
Okay, nice.
And I still play as well. So yeah, it's good to be on the ice. That's always a nice breath of fresh air.
Okay. Now, do you wear the glasses or do you go contact lenses for on the ice? Yeah,
always contacts. But when I was younger, before I could wear contacts, it was goggles, and thankfully I don't wear those anymore.
You know, I wore the goggles back in the 3rd grade.
Yeah.
Basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
They don't look great.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Horace Grant really pulled him off, but he's like on the short list there. So.
Or not.
Yeah. yeah. Anyway, Eric, you know, what a great way to have a debut last night. It could have gone a little better for you if the RedHawks got the actual win.
Yeah.
But, you know, you get some RedHawks highlights for your debut, kind of getting to see the end of that series versus the Chicago Dogs. Now jumping right into things with RedHawks Weekly. But one thing I've learned about you already is you're a quick study, and we have a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, so yesterday, I mean, they got really close to the walk-off, obviously. Runners on first and second with nobody on the bottom of the ninth. Couldn't put it together, but hey, it was a great battle against the Chicago Dogs, a team that's always tough for the RedHawks to beat.
Yeah.
Kind of a tough homestand, but they're in good spirits heading out on the road this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Dogs, it seems like they're a team that gets streaky.
Yes.
You know, we'll get to some of the sound from Chris Coast and Drew Ward. But, yeah, you know, so they dropped that 3-game series. And then, you know, there's still 2 games out of first, but a team looking to hopefully right the ship. A kind of challenging juncture of the season as well. What were some of your bigger takeaways from yesterday's game and the last 2 games?
Yeah, so with the Dogs, I mean, Chris Coast talked about it a little bit after the game yesterday. Chicago just had some really good starts all weekend, and the RedHawks
first inning just jumping on
the RedHawks have got to be a little bit better at this juncture of the schedule starting games, and they know that. But the big takeaway yesterday was the fight in this team. They went down 4-0 early. They didn't record a hit until the 5th inning, but they were in prime position to win the game yesterday. So this is a team that will fight to the very end and a team that will give it their all no matter how things end up at the end. And they're in a good spot right now in the standings.
Here's what some of the RedHawks had to say about that.
Chicago jumped off to a pretty good start, scored those 3. They've kind of done that to us this year. And, you know, we came back, and this was, even though we lost, this is kind of one of those games that the way baseball is kind of meant to be. One pitch was going to be the difference. And in their case, they kind of got that one big hit a little bit late, and we didn't get it. But it was a good game. They just came out on top.
We got a good team, and we've hit the ball hard all day. And just coming back like we did, it shows that the resilience that we have. And like I said, we have a good team. If we just had some balls fall here and there, I feel like we win that game.
As Drew said, you know, just kind of a tough breakaway or 2, perhaps, of pulling that one out. And so the resiliency is kind of the theme here.
That was the big takeaway for the team yesterday. You heard it there. I mean, another bounce one way or the other. They win that game yesterday. They're walking it off, and the team is in, I guess, a little bit better mood going on the road. But this is a team that is in a good spot right now. Like I said, 45 games into the season. They're not going to panic about the results of game number 45. So this is a team that's, again, 2nd place in the division right now, 3rd place in the league. They're trying to get back into a groove, but they're fighting, and that's the big part of yesterday.
Yes. I feel like, you know, it's about how good are you going to be by the time game 98, 99, 100 roll around, and then how fresh are you going to be? How ready are you going to be in the playoffs? You know, this is a team that's kind of dealing with some adversity right now. You know, Ismail Alcantara getting his contract transferred to Mexico.
Yeah.
That's a tough blow. Dylan Thomas, it's not too serious because we saw him out there doing some pinch running, but Dylan Thomas out of the lineup, not ideal. Still working on getting him healthy. And it's just kind of, I feel like it's a battle of attrition.
It really is. And you brought up Alcantara. I'll touch on him for just a moment. His speed was amazing. 32 stolen bases. That's the biggest part this team will miss. I mean, Evan Alexander is an incredibly fast athlete. Only 13 stolen bases by comparison. So that tells you how big of a loss Alcantara is just on the speed pass alone. That doesn't just mention all of his skills either. But going into this road trip, it's the halfway point of the year. It's July 1st. This is, again, it's a team that's, after a tough homestand against two really good teams, Cleburne, one of the top two teams in the league, Chicago, a little bit streaky, and on the winning side right now. 2-4 homestands, not what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But again, fighting through injuries and trying to find the groove in their game right now, and they talked about it a little bit yesterday.
Let's take a listen here.
The bottom line is, like every team, it's try to stay healthy. Right now we're a little bit banged up, but pretty much every team is kind of going through that. With Dylan Thomas not in the lineup, but he'll be back eventually. And, we've added a guy. We'll probably add another pitcher at some point soon. So the bottom line is we need to, for the most part, win with the guys we have in there, a few reinforcements. But the bottom line is we got to try to stay healthy, and that's pretty much every team in the league at this point.
Just staying together and just going out each day, knowing that we deserve to be at the top because we are a good team. And if we just stick together, I feel like at the end of the year, we're going to be one of the top two teams in this division.
And once again, just kind of weathering the storm there.
Yeah, and a quiet confidence too, because they know they're not playing their best baseball right now. And they know they're fighting injuries and they're fighting any sort of adversity with the tough schedule they had on this homestand. But they're confident that they can get the wins that they need to at the right time.
And I think, covering this team the last few years, really one of the things I see every year, resilience.
Yeah.
And so last year, I don't know if you knew this, but I'll give you a quick little breakdown, but basically the injury bug bit hard.
Yeah.
And they went from just hotter than heck out of the gate to a team that was really struggling to find their bearings, went through a horrendous stretch there, and then got it back together, make the playoffs, and once they're in the playoffs, they're once again looking like the RedHawks of old. They ultimately lose in the playoffs, but win then the World Championship, kind of showing their dominance still. And so a team that technically is still searching for overall their third championship in 3 years, even if only one of them is the Miles Wolff Cup. You're kind of on that quest for the Cup here, and it doesn't really matter too much who you are July 1. It matters who you are, like I said, once you get into those 90th games and on.
Yeah, and you heard them talk about the big picture there. These are the dog days of summer. It's July 1st today. The All-Star break isn't for another 3 weeks. Getting through these 3 weeks from a healthy standpoint, especially, as Chris Coast talked about, is going to be huge for this team to set up for the stretch run.
Well, for us, it's get off to a good start in the game the way Chicago did to us. Chicago really, from the first pitch of the game, man, they took it to us in that first inning. And, we had a chance to kind of win all three. We ended up losing 2 out of 3, but the bottom line is Chicago fell off their bus and came ready to play. We got to do the same thing. When we fall off the bus tomorrow in Lincoln, we got to be ready to score.
Just big hits. Like what happened today, we got some hits, but balls didn't fall. So we get some balls to fall. I feel like we can go in and we can do really well against those teams. They're good teams, so we can't go in there lightly, but I think we're going to be just fine.
And so now, like we kind of said, tough little stretch here coming up. And, first, you got to take on Lincoln, right?
Yeah.
And every team in this league's good, but Lincoln's in last place, so they're the least good right now.
Yes, and they were talking about the road trip there, and I think they know this is a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
They hit the bus at 6 a.m. this morning to go to Lincoln, and like they said there, they want to get off the bus strong. They want to attack Lincoln the same way that Chicago attacked Fargo Moorhead this weekend.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing you can do against a team like Lincoln that is in last place, not by a lot, but they're in last place in the league right now. And if you attack them early and get that early start, that can instill that thought in the team on the other side of, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, and you always want to get the sweep, right? But this is a great opportunity because you got Lincoln, then you got a rivalry series against Winnipeg, and I feel like that's always one where, every win or loss counts as one in the standings. But when you beat a rivalry team like that, and the history that these two franchises have against each other, that I think that emotionally it probably accounts a little bit more for those guys. And then it sets up next week what could be a battle for first place, Sioux City coming to town.
Yeah, you look at those next 3 series to start the month of July. I'm looking at Lincoln right now because that's what the team is looking at, because those are 3 good opportunities to get wins at Lincoln. They're 4-2 against the Salt Dogs this year, and 3 of those wins came in Lincoln earlier this year. So that was a big series that they can get some momentum from as well. Winnipeg, you never know what's going to happen. As you talked about, a rivalry team, a Winnipeg team that's won 3 in a row. They're back to 500 now in a very tight division again. And then you have Sioux Falls, just a humongous series, 4 games at Newman Outdoor Field. That's what I think, big picture, this week is kind of getting prepared for that Sioux Falls series so that they have a chance to take first place, because Sioux Falls is not backing down either.
No, and that's a team that's just been outstanding from the jump this year. And, it's interesting also tying it back to Ismail, right?
Yeah.
Dylan out of the lineup right now, but he came back. He came back last year when he went and played in Mexico for a while. And so it is interesting if Alcantara maybe comes back when they need him most, when they're getting ready for the playoffs. And also there's just a lot of player movement, that kind of comes up around this time of year. And so I feel like it's, as Coast said, we don't know who that pitcher is going to be, but they're looking to add more arms. And right now it's just kind of getting through, like, is Davis Feldman get picked back up? What's going to happen with that kind of situation? But right now, big picture, I'd say for the RedHawks is staying ready for what might happen, whether it might be player transfers, players getting called up, and then weathering whatever storm does come up, whether it be health, you name it.
Yeah, and that's part of being a professional at this level. You never know what the roster is going to look like tomorrow. You never know what it's going to look like 3 days from now. I mean, I'll bring up Caden Schwabe, the former North Dakota State Bison, as a perfect example. He was on the RedHawks earlier this week. Now he's in Winnipeg. And he'll be on Winnipeg playing against the RedHawks this weekend. It just, that's the way pro baseball works at this level sometimes. So Alcantara, that is a good point, that he could come back to Fargo-Moorhead. Schwabe even could.
Yeah.
But you don't know what this team's going to look like going forward. So the guys that are on the team right now, it's one day at a time. And that's the big thing, the big attitude of this team. One day at a time, and then fighting through whatever adversity comes their way.
And I think the fun thing about when you do lose players and things like that happen, it creates an opportunity. Sometimes guys step up.
Yeah.
There might be a guy we aren't even really talking about yet who's ready to make his breakout and really contribute to this team.
Maybe a guy like Marcus Chu. His second game with the RedHawks yesterday gets a big RBI double that jumpstarts a rally. I believe it was in the 6th inning when he got that RBI double, and he scored the tie-in run. So that's another guy that could step up into a big role after a good day yesterday.
And was he 2 for 4, 2 for 5, something like that?
So.
Yeah. So real good game from Chu. We'll keep an eye on him, and hoping to have some RedHawks in studio for now. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Oh, great to be here. Great to have you here, my friend. RedHawks Weekly. And just a reminder, we got them visiting the Salt Dogs tonight. That one is at 7 p.m. Go ahead and catch that on our My 365, all right? And we'll have the broadcast with Valley News Live. Have a great one. We'll see you next time on RedHawks Weekly.